How, I think, one other thing that is important to ask is where should we be getting our information regarding COVID-19?
I send people to the exact same places I go to. The CDC website, the World Health Organization website, the Washington State COVID-19 website, all excellent sources of information. If you're looking at studies, I would go to the National Institute of Health and see what the NIH says about the study. When I hear about these studies, when it was one of my patients who told me about this one a few days ago, and I immediately got online and I looked at that study and at what had been published about it, and I gave him a call and I told him, here's where I come down on this, and it's not just me. I'm looking at, and I didn't. I went to the American Academy of Infectious Disease Doctors. I went to the CDC. But then I went to a couple of sites that were, non-academy sanctioned sites, just, people who blog about or write about science, and saw what they had to say as well. But even those, and the people who I find to be sober people, you don't have to be under those auspices to be smart and sober. And even they were not. They had a lot of problems with the way that those studies were being done. So understand where your sources are, who your sources are. And you have to be willing to ask these probing questions. Well, when somebody says, well, why didn't you use a control group? Well, it's not ethical to use a control group because, then you let people die. That's a cop-out. That's we've used control groups in medicine for the last 70 years. And the United States is a fairly litigious society. You don't just let people die. Yeah. Control group doesn't mean no treatment. It means you don't use the novel treatment. You give them everything else. You treat them in every other way. And again, you don't have to just look at treating critically ill people. You can look at treating non-critically ill people, and there's no risk to those people. Like I said, if the people with mild disease are, they don't die from this illness. And so, look at the clear rates. You can use a control group in those people. There's no rational reason for not having a control group, other than laziness. So, make sure that you know where the information is coming from. Remember when you're on the internet, it's like being in a cow pasture in Montana. You may be standing in green grass, but you're 2 steps from a pile of what. It's click, and you don't know where you're at anymore. So just make sure you know where you're reading, and where you're getting your information. I would check out CDC. The CDC they have a platform just for lay people. It's not just for clinicians. There's a platform for clinicians. But you can go. It's readable. It's not all just a bunch of jargon and numbers. It's a very readable site. Same with the World Health Organization, and the Washington State's COVID webpage is excellent. It's a really good webpage.